without further ado, I will give the floor to Simon from Futurex. Futurex is a cybersecurity company specializing in hardware security modules, HSMs, also in enterprise-grade cryptography, key management, and data protection solutions. So, Simon, please, the floor is yours.
Thanks very much. Much appreciated. It's very nice to be here. Good afternoon to everybody. My name is Simon Marion. I'm the Director for Channel for Europe for Futurex. I've had the pleasure of working with Hermitage Solutions before. I hadn't realised it was 20 years, which is fantastic. Congratulations. But it's a privilege to work with Hermitage as Futurex start to build out a traditional two-tier channel in the Baltic region. Hermitage are the right partner to work with. Today I'm going to talk about Futurex, give you a brief overview of the organisation, talk about the European HSM marketplace, and focus in a little bit on the cloud payment landscape, which we think is a unique opportunity for ourselves and our partners in the region. So let me just move forward here. As Rimas was saying, we're involved in data protection in the cybersecurity landscape. You know, depending on who you talk to, I would say, maybe an oversimplification, but I would say there are four main pillars of cybersecurity, not in any particular order. You've got endpoint security, you've got identity and access management, you've got network and cloud security, and then the fourth pillar being the protection of the data itself. And that data resides in either a state of rest or in transit or in use. And when we're talking about protecting that data, we're talking about encrypting it or tokenizing the data. So truly protecting that specific data itself. And Futurex have been around for 40 years, innovating and building a range of cryptographic services around the protection of data itself. When we encrypt data, we're generating keys. We're generating those keys and we need to secure those keys. And we secure those keys and other sensitive material in hardware security modules that are tamper-proof and meet all of the regulations depending on the vertical market that we apply those HSMs to. So there are two main categories for hardware security modules. They are general purpose devices or they're in the payments space. And both of those have different regulations to comply with. But we've been supplying HSMs and primarily in the payment space for over 40 years. And therefore we have quite a lot of experience with this kind of technology. In addition to that capability, when you're talking about keys, you have to talk about key hygiene and the lifecycle management of those keys. And we call that enterprise key management. So that's another offering from our cryptography services capability. And expanding on that, we also have the capability for public key infrastructure and certificate of authority solutions. So we offer that within our offering as well. But over the years, we've built up a huge amount of experience around cryptographic services, things like key management offloading, the ability to automate and monitor and orchestrate large infrastructure implementations and load balance. All of that capability is part of what Futurex offer in addition to and included with the hardware security modules. And we think of ourselves as a bit of a specialist in global projects. We've been around for 40 years. We have over 15,000 customers in over 100 countries. And we have a headquarters in Texas, San Antonio, Texas, where we have a huge engineering campus and a huge North American installed base of customers. So we have a big team and headquartered operations in North America. Hopefully that's still popular since there seems to be a deal in a framework deal around Greenland. But we're based in North America. We also have offices in South America. We have offices in Asia Pacific and the Middle East. And we've been selling into Europe for over 16 years. And we are now starting to double down on the European opportunity and really push forward and grow the team and build out a traditional two-tier channel that I mentioned before, working with people like Hermitage Solutions that are a true value-added distributor that can help us work closely with our reseller partner base and provide our services and our hardware and software to end customers. One of the things that we'll talk about is a network of data centers globally. And we have these dedicated HSM data centers that we call VirtueCrypt data centers. We have 16 across the globe. From these VirtueCrypt data centers, we install our HSM solutions and we offer a monthly OPEX based HSM as a service capability, or key management as a service capability, or PKI and certificate of authority service as a capability. So from these VirtueCrypt data centers, we offer a monthly OPEX capability for organizations that don't want to manage their own infrastructure, but they want to pay a service, and they can have any amount of nines, 5 nines in terms of service level agreement. So this network of data centers is a global network. For example, we have two currently in Europe, one in Amsterdam and one in Frankfurt, and we continue to build out that capability. Recently, we've added data centers in Dubai, in the UAE, and in Saudi. So you can see we continue to grow as the market opportunity presents itself. We grow that capability. Just moving through to the next slide here. In terms of the 40-year element, we are focused on the payment space with our HSM products, and we're number one in that market in North America. So we've got a lot of customers that we'll mention, and a very strong player, and we're trying to duplicate that position in Europe with your help. We want to build the brand and the customer base in the Baltic region. As early as the 1980s, we started building our systems, and of course, we've learned a lot about how to build HSMs and how to add additional services, to the point where, while performance isn't everything, we have the most performant HSM in the marketplace by an order of magnitude more powerful, more quick than the competition. When we look to 2014, we launched our first VirtueCrypt data center. So as early as 2014, we were offering HSM as a cloud service, and moved at that point to giving you the facility to go for the perpetual standard infrastructure physical appliance, or you could go for a monthly OPEX cloud service as early as 2014. So you can see we have a lot of experience in that space and can be very trusted in that area. And then in the early 2023, 2024 zone, we launched our platform product, our key universal single data platform product called CryptoHub, which we'll talk about in more detail. So VirtueCrypt is our data centers, our cloud service, and CryptoHub is our solution, which has all of its capability around HSM, enterprise key management, and PKI and CA, and all of the other orchestration and load balancing capability. And we're very closely aligned with the PCI, Payments Cards Industry Security Standards Council, and we're the first cloud HSM that's supported by the PCI industry, and we've been appointed to the board for PCI for the period of 2025 to 2027. All of this is capable through our attention to the architecture. I mentioned that we've got a large engineering campus in San Antonio in Texas, and all of our products are based off a base architecture model, a BAM, where the code is common for all firmware and all applications, which means that we can ensure interoperability between all of our products. We're not acquiring different technologies and trying to present those different technologies as a single company. We are building them from scratch, so they're all interoperable, they're all imminently scalable, and they all we can add features quickly. So we can move quickly with customer requirements, and also move quickly to resolve new compliance, new regulations. And therefore we have zero reliance on third-party technology. It's all our own. We eat our own dog food, as they say. It's all our own homegrown products. And CryptoHub is the solution. CryptoHub is the answer to whatever the question is. So the question can be, well, what do you do about general payments HSM? CryptoHub. What do you do about payment HSM? CryptoHub. What do you do about cloud HSM as a service for lifecycle key management? It's CryptoHub. And the same for PKI and Certificate of Authority, and the same for all of the encryption elements, whether that is structured data and transparent database protection, or whether that is unstructured data, file and folder encryption, or whether that is vault-list tokenization. All of that capability emanates from a tamper-proof, highly secure, FIPS level 2 compliant hardware security module. So CryptoHub is the solution, and this is our single universal platform, and it has a single interface. So, for example, just for example, you need key management capability. You want a cloud service, so you would purchase a CryptoHub HSM as a service capability, a license for the key management, and then you decide whether you want one or two instances. You might want one instance in the Amsterdam data center, one instance in the Frankfurt for failover capability, giving you 3 nines SLA, and then just the relevant licenses. So it's a very simple process to acquire and then quickly start using a Futurex HSM product. Okay, so that's a quick view of Futurex as a company. Let's just talk a little bit about what the opportunity is for us together. And this is an area that I just want to highlight. If you talk to any of the key research analysts, like ABI Research or Gartner, for example, they're all talking about a significant growth between now through to the early 2030s for the HSM space. And specifically around cloud HSM, but for HSM in general, it's a high growth market where we're talking about double-digit cumulative aggregate growth. So it's an area that we need to be aware of. It's an area that we need to consider. Doesn't need to be as niche or as complicated as it's been before. We are working on not just ensuring that the technology is more compelling and simple, but also the commercialization of this product is easier to adopt, especially when there's requirement. So we continue to see organizations go through the process of digital transformation. We know that, for example, banking organizations, finance organizations are really their software houses, and they are considering, they have a huge infrastructure for their payment transactions of hardware security modules where they keep all of the keys and sensitive information, but they want to be more agile. They want to consider HSM as a service capability. They know that the data can be delivered, the transactions can be processed very rapidly, and they know that they're within the European location, and they know that they can achieve the same level of service level agreement with an HSM as a service capability. So organizations, even large enterprise organizations such as banks, but also other verticals around, manufacturing and government and fintech and retail, all of these areas are considering their HSM requirements and considering adding to their hardware infrastructure with cloud-based HSMs. And we continue to see, as I mentioned, the digital transformation, but also the ongoing regulatory requirements and the requirement for data sovereignty in these markets. But it all nets out at a very interesting market opportunity. So now is the time to start talking about our solution with enterprise accounts when you can. More specifically, let's just look at the payment landscape. from a European perspective, we see that the market is valued in 2023, was valued at $472 million total available market, projected to reach 1.37 million by 2031, which is a CAGR, the cumulative aggregate growth rate of 14.3%. So it's a significant growth and one that we should keep our eye on and focus on. And what we see as an opportunity now is our competition in Europe, legacy hardware security modules, the old complicated, difficult to install, difficult to manage systems are being replaced. They're coming to their end of life. And that means that organizations will need to consider upgrading to the next solution from the same vendor, which is a big, it's a big uplift. Or they can consider potentially moving to other solutions or approaching it in a different way. We're having lots of conversations with the finance market about a hybrid approach where they go for a cloud strategy in addition to their existing infrastructure. And of course, there's lots of questions around quantum safe cryptography and being an HSM that is already approved from a NIST quantum algorithm perspective, then we're a good alternative. What we're also seeing is because our solutions are an order of magnitude more performant than the competition, is that we can virtualize a single unit into many virtual HSMs, which are logically separated, which means that you can completely consolidate your existing hardware base, and you can also add a hybrid element. So going forward, have a cloud payment capability. And all of the banks that we're talking to, which I say, are like software houses these days, they're all considering that movement. So now's a good time to talk to your enterprise accounts, whether they are banking, fintech, whether they are retail, whether they're manufacturing, whether they're government. Now, as an organization, all of our engineering is based in San Antonio, Texas, and we run the code of our competition as well, so that we're up to date, and therefore we can help you seamlessly migrate in the best possible way from existing legacy HSMs to our solution. And as we mentioned, we are the only HSM supporting PQC that's been validated by the PCI Standards Committee. Now, Payment Card Industry Security Standards Council is very important. This is a whole ecosystem of organizations that are handling payment transactions, whether it's the banks, whether it's payment acquirers or payment issuers. And there's a lot of compliance that needs to be adhered to. So it's a key area where there are a lot of security assessors and advisors helping enterprise organizations that are involved in payment transactions to be compliant. And we're a key element of that. We're recommended by many QSAs and QPAs as an HSM of choice. And we have, as I mentioned earlier, been appointed to the Board of Advisors for 2025 to 2027 to assist with the industry. So we're a thought leader in that space. Another area that I think we could focus on as we build out our solutions is with managed service providers or managed storage security service providers. Because of the capability of the solution from a hardware perspective or from a service perspective, we can have a single physical HSM in one of our VirtuCrypt data centers, building out to 75 virtual HSMs, up to 75 virtual HSMs that are all logically separated. So as an MSP, as a managed security service provider, you can have a number of different customers, leveraging a single physical HSM and then virtual HSMs per customer. And you can have a second physical HSM in a second data center in Europe. Again, leveraging out that system to a number of different customers. Now, because of the performance of our solution, it allows you to do that. And because of the virtual private networks between our virtual crypt data centers and the customers, again, there's limited latency. So this is a truly viable solution, and the customer can purchase that from you on an OPEX model, a monthly payment. Um, so it's a very flexible solution. So the boundaries of the old-fashioned niche hardware infrastructure that needs to be managed, that's very complicated, and therefore you just leave it in the basement for 10 years and hope that it keeps running, isn't the case anymore. It's a truly flexible solution, and the net is that customers can really reduce the amount of hardware that they're managing and can really leverage these cloud capabilities because of the performance of the system and because we've commercialized it in that way. So lots of benefits to managed service providers in general, and organizations that are selling, Google Workspace or Amazon or Azure, Microsoft Office. At the moment, your option is for example, in the case of Google, you purchase the workspace applications, and then you would use Google for encryption and Google for the key management. Well, that is no longer the only solution. You can use Futurex for your client-side encryption of all of your Google applications, and you can use our external key management to manage those keys so that you manage your own keys to your own data, so that it's not Google that's in charge of your data. So all of that is fully capable. And in the same way that you would pay for, Gmail, or Workspace, let's say you're paying, I don't know, $20 a month per seat, then you add a few dollars per month per seat for encryption and key management of that capability. So the customer can consume the solution in the same way that they consume their main applications. So it's not it doesn't have to be any more complicated than that. So this is the capability that we bring to the market. Now, obviously, behind the scenes, even though we can simplify the technology and simplify the commercialization, there's a lot of compliance and certification behind both our hardware systems, which are extremely secure, and our data center certifications. So you will see that we will play a big role in thought leadership around all of the necessary certifications for our kind of product. And also we work, generally speaking, extremely flexibly and with other technology alliances in the marketplace. So we have over 150 integrations with other key players in the market. And as I mentioned, those four pillars of cyber, endpoint security, identity and access management, the network and cloud, and then the data protection itself. We work with all of the pillars within the overall cyber security landscape. And you'll see more and more of this work carried out. A lot of the times you'll say, well, do you work with, can you work with Keyfactor? Can you work with CyberArk? And of course, we have that integration. We have the joint integration solutions guide. We have all of that information available to you. And of course, we continue to build out the customers, and we're looking forward to building out some of those customers with you in the Baltics market. We're heavily focused on the payment side, but we do work across these verticals, and we are very interested in government and manufacturing and retail, automotive. So we can help in all of those spaces with either our payment HSMs or with our general purpose HSMs. And finally, resources. Just to finish here, really, is to say that over 40 years we've built up a vast library of documentation, as well as continuing to build out a lot of information as we accelerate through 2025, 2026. So we've got a lot of information available to you. I'm here as a role to manage the channel and to support Hermitage Solutions and to support you in the Baltic region. So if you need anything from us in terms of this capability, obviously you'll know your sales team at Hermitage, but you can also write to me, and I'll make sure you've got the right documentation, whether it's a data sheet or an integration guide or a competitive solution. We can share all of that with you. Okay, that's all I wanted to say today. Thank you very much indeed. I wanted to give you an introduction to Futurex, talk a little bit about the European HSM market opportunity, and then hone in a little bit on cloud payment landscape and all of the ecosystem around cloud payment and also the MSP opportunity. So hopefully I've covered that for you today. I am looking forward to meeting you all on the 3rd, 4th, and 5th at the CyberSec Roadshow. But in the meantime, I am fully available to answer any questions now and moving forward.
Thank you, Simon. Perfect timing. That's always a very good virtue. So we have a couple of questions, and I would like to discuss with you. Of course, looking at the questions, some of the topics you already covered or touched. So please elaborate if you can.
Okay.
So first of all, one of your last messages was about the verticals, about the solution with what verticals it fits. So beyond payments and traditional enterprise security, what are other areas, maybe you know from our region, that should be looking into your solutions?
Well, we see, in other verticals, we're seeing a lot of uh, IoT opportunity. We see automotive opportunity. We see so far in your region, we're seeing some of the, telco, telecommunications companies looking to offer a service out to their clients.
Yes.
We're very happy to support that, of course, with the capability that with the product. So I would say a huge amount of experience in the payments area, and we the reason we tell you that is because we win in that space, and it's very
Mhm.
efficient, and it's obviously involved with all of the PCI community as well, and all of that regulation. But we are very excited about government, retail, manufacturing, automotive, IoT in general, and supporting the service providers, whether they're telco organizations. So all of that really is possible. And we have been selling into the European market for over 16 years. So even though we are not very well known
Mhm.
currently in the European market, we will grow significantly. And we do have a lot of customers and a lot of case studies that we can bring to bear on opportunities that come up in the Baltic region. So we've got a lot of experience and we can probably show, the architecture that was used, and we're very competitive on the pricing as well, and very flexible on the pricing. So hopefully we can build all of that together. Sorry, fairly long.
No, it's it's okay. It's good. And maybe the one more question. You also, I saw that in one of your slides, but this is a quite a new term which everyone talks about, is this post-quantum computing. So,
Yeah.
do you use it? Please, does your solution use it, and how your solution is adapting to this, to those new threats of quantum computing?
We do participate in quantum discussions regularly with regards to the quantum threat. We believe it's now. It's not in 10 years' time. We believe it's now, and that's why we are ready and with certified with the released NIST algorithms are part of our solution. So we are post quantum ready, as ready as we can be with everything that's been released. We are fully certified and qualified with that. But we're happy to discuss in community conversations about quantum because we think it's now. We think you need to be ready now. We know that the best way to be prepared for the quantum threat is to understand exactly what you have today. Um, the legacy HSM replacements and the refreshes will give organizations the opportunity to understand what they've got today. There are some good data discovery tools. We will also be launching a data discovery tool this year, which will help you establish as an organization where you are and therefore where the gaps are and where you need to fill in those gaps. So it's a very important topic, and we're fully active and we are fully certified currently with all the latest released algorithms.
So thank you, Simon.